Okay, let's unpack this one. Ever thought about what really old medical texts say about how plants were used?
Yeah, it's fascinating stuff.
We're doing a deep dive today using just one source, actually William Boericke's Homeopathic Materia Medica.
Right. And a materia medica is essentially, a handbook for practitioners in that field. It lists substances, often plants, and their observed effects.
And the plant we're zoning in on from Boericke's text is Argemone Mexicana. You might know it as prickly poppy. Our mission today is pretty straightforward. Just quickly pull out the key insights from the specific book about how this plant was traditionally described and used, just for you.
Okay, so starting point. What were the main reasons Boericke listed for using Argemone mexicana? What kind of conditions?
Well, it points to a few main areas. First up is really intense colicky cramp and spasms in the bowels.
Okay, so serious digestive trouble. What else?
It also mentions painful neuromuscular conditions, the kind that are, so bad they stop you sleeping.
Right, that sounds quite severe. And there was a third main application mentioned.
Yes, and this is where it gets kind of intriguing. It links the plant to rheumatic disease that's associated with Bright's disease.
Bright's disease. That's an older term, often for kidney problems, right?
Exactly. So the text is suggesting a connection between rheumatism, like joint pain maybe, and kidney issues.
That's what's really interesting here. Like you said, this link between things that seem quite separate, bowel cramps, nerve pain keeping you up, and then this rheumatism possibly tied to kidney function.
Yeah, it suggests someone observed effects across different body systems, at least according to this tradition.
Precisely. And Boericke's text doesn't just stick to broad categories. It gets quite specific about the actual symptoms people might experience.
Okay, like what? Let's walk through some body areas. What about the head?
For the head, it describes a throbbing headache, and it's specific in the eyes and temples. Plus, a feeling of the head being hot.
Throbbing in the eyes and temples. Okay. And the throat?
Throat symptoms are listed as very dry, with pain specifically when swallowing. Pretty clear-cut observations.
The stomach symptoms sound pretty awful from the description.
They really do. It talks about feeling really sick, like you're going to vomit, sort of gripping pain right in the pit of the stomach, no appetite at all.
Yeah.
Then lots of belching and gas.
Yeah.
It definitely paints a picture of major digestive distress.
And that connection to Bright's disease, the kidney thing, any specific urinary symptoms mentioned?
Yes, it notes passing less urine than usual.
Yeah.
And also that the urine changes color. So those details would seem to reinforce that link that we're making.
Interesting. Were there notes about female health specifically?
There were. It lists suppressed menstruation and also this combination of low sexual desire coupled with weakness.
Okay. And what about limbs? You mentioned specifics earlier.
Nice. The extremities. This is quite striking. The text explicitly mentions a stiff and painful left knee.
Left knee, not just knee.
Exactly, the left one. And also swollen feet. That kind of specific detail is, well, it makes you notice.
It really does. Does it say anything about when symptoms get worse? Like time of day?
It does, yeah. It includes what's called a modality. It states symptoms are worse around noon, and that's specifically tied to the weakness.
Worse at noon. Okay, another layer of detail. So how was this plant actually used according to Boericke? Was it ingested?
Internally, the text suggests the sixth potency. Now, without diving too deep into homeopathic pharmacy, that generally means a highly diluted preparation made following specific steps.
Right, so a very dilute form taken inside. But wasn't there something about external use too?
Yes, and this is where it gets really interesting, I think. Completely different from the internal method. The text says the fresh juice.
The raw juice.
Yeah, the fresh juice directly from the plant was applied externally to things like ulcers and warts.
Wow, okay. So this one source describes two very different approaches. A diluted internal preparation for systemic issues, digestion, pain, maybe kidney-related stuff. And then the concentrated fresh juice applied directly onto the skin for ulcers and warts. So why should you, our listener, care about looking at these old texts like Boericke's?
Well, because they offer this amazing window, really, into how people historically observed and documented the effects of plants. It's a record of countless specific details that practitioners noted down.
So recapping our deep dive on Argemone Mexicana in Boericke, it was described for a whole range of things: intense gut pain, sleep-wrecking pain, issues potentially linked to kidneys, that very specific left knee pain.
And even skin problems treated topically.
So what does this all mean? It really highlights the The sheer breadth of uses attributed to just one plant within this particular medical tradition, all apparently based on careful observation.
It makes you think, doesn't it? Consider how incredibly specific some of these observations are, down to the time of day or which side of the body is affected. What does that level of detail tell us about the system they were using to observe and record information back then? Something to mull over.